Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Webinar Wednesday. My name is Ria Stark. I'm the Digital Engagement Manager here at TLC, and today we are celebrating. That's right, TLC recently received a Platinum Award, yes, Platinum, in LibraryWorks' 8th Annual Modern Library Awards. This is the second year in a row that TLC has won an MLA specifically for grouped title display functionality in Carl Connect Discovery, aka the FRBRized catalog. And this modern functionality does group titles and displays them as a single entry, which gives library users a clear, trustworthy view of the collection. It also makes it easier for them to find exactly what they're looking for faster. So I do have with me the team behind this award-winning catalog here today to showcase it. But before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping items, as always, to cover. Number one, all of our webinars are recorded, including this one. So you can watch the webinar replay starting tomorrow from our website at tlcdelivers.com/webinars. You will also receive an email reminder tomorrow when that is available. Throughout the presentation today, please add any of your questions to that questions panel. We will get to those at the end of the session. And finally, before you log out today, be sure to download the handouts that are available for additional information. We've got a press release, a product sheet, and our corporate brochure. So that is our housekeeping. And to introduce today's panel, I'm going to turn it over to Ebony Pacheco-Hoos, who manages the product team for our Carl Solution Integrated Library System. Ebony, welcome to you and our product owners, and congratulations again on winning a Platinum MLA Award.
Well, thank you so much, Ria. We are very excited to win this award. It always makes us really happy to see our libraries love our product, because that's why we're here. So again, I am Ebony Pacheco-Hoos, the manager of Carl Product Management. And with me today, I have our wonderful Carl product owners, Lisa Dibbern, Jessica Seybold, and Beth Lazarczyk, and this entire team, along with our developers, our QA staff, really worked hard towards creating what we believe is, again, a wonderful product for our customers to utilize. And we're super excited to show you all today just a quick snippet of what we do, and what we have done with our grouped title display within Carl Connect Discovery, desktop and mobile. Our agenda today, we're going to go over the what. So we're going to get a quick group title display overview, and Lisa Dibbern will show us that. And then we're going to go over the why, talk a little bit about why we went this route, and you know, really the kind of the meat of the strategy here. And then we'll delve a little bit into the how all of these things played a part in coming up with a MLA award-winning product here. So I'll turn it over to Lisa Dibbern to go ahead and give us an overview. Oh, wait.
Yeah, first we do have a poll for our audience members of whether or not they currently use a FRBRized catalog. So in just a moment, you'll see a poll come up on your screen asking you, does your library currently use FRBR? If you are using the group title display with Carl Connect Discovery, hit that first option. If you are using a different vendor, we're curious to know that as well. Or maybe you're thinking about turning on group title display, or thinking about switching to a catalog that offers FRBR options. That's that third option. And finally, what's a FRBR? You're in the right place, because we're about to show you. So go ahead and answer those. And in just a moment, we'll share some of those results for you as well. And this is also a good reminder, if once you've answered that poll question, to also download a handout too while you're thinking about it. All right, so it looks like not yet, but thinking about it is 68%. That's the majority, but there are some Carl Connect Discovery users in the audience. Hello, all, we see you. All right, Lisa, thanks for letting me interrupt. I'll let you do the demo now.
Thank you, Ria, and thanks for the introduction, Ebony. So hello, everyone. I'm so honored to be here today to give this overview of our award-winning Carl Connect Discovery group title display. So the Carl Connect Discovery group title display is our FRBRized view of the catalog, and the goal of the group title display is to improve the usefulness of the catalog when retrieving titles that may have multiple formats and editions, or hundreds of formats and editions, like some of our titles. So users are going to have a clear view of what editions and formats are owned by the library, and they'll be able to easily navigate these titles within our catalog. With the development of the group title display, we wanted to focus on a few specific areas when it came to the catalog, and these included the grouping of our like titles, of course, to make it the FRBRized view. We also wanted to continue to have that strong search engine that empowered our users to narrow down search results with a variety of filters while maintaining our relevance. And we wanted to show the availability of items in a clear and direct manner. So to get started from our catalog, I'm going to go ahead and do one of our searches for Pride and Prejudice. And before we jump into our search results here and look at the trusted records that are now in place on our search results page, I did want to go to the left-hand side and talk about our filters and our loot scene facets. So users can narrow down their search results by locations within the system, by age group, by a lot of traditional library filters that would include format, author, maybe the publication year or the subject. So a lot of these are going to be familiar to our library users and our librarians. One I want to highlight today, though, is our Available Now filter. So the Available Now filter is really going to help users to immediately filter down items that are currently available in a specific library location, and that also matches their search criteria. And the Available Now feature is an additive facet, and I'll show you what that means. So for instance, we make a first selection, let's say on the central circulation, and it's going to narrow our search results down from 37 items, or excuse me, 37 trusted records to 2 trusted records shown right here. Now the additive part is if we continue to filter, say I want the central location and the hometown library, it's going to add more trusted records back to locations. So that's what we mean by our additive filter from our Available Now. So that's a great resource when we have users that are really trying to get in there and get something in their hands today from the library. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how availability plays into our group title display when we jump into trusted records. So speaking of trusted records, a trusted record is a non-MARC, non-bibliographic record that can have a one-to-one or a one-to-many relationship with bibliographic records. So each bibliographic record in the database has a corresponding trusted record. So here in the first result, we can see that there's one format here within the one trusted records. Now, if we take a look at our larger trusted record, which is our second Pride and Prejudice result, we have multiple formats and editions within one trusted record. Okay. Now, from the search results page, if we want to look into this big trusted record, I think that's probably, that looks like the author I want. There's a lot of formats. I think this is what I'm going for. I can either click on the book jacket, the title, or on any one of these format buttons here to get me to the trusted record. I'm going to go ahead and select in with the book. And now what we are looking at is our trusted record page. So this is going to have kind of the real bulk of the information we're looking at as far as the titles and formats. From this page, I want to highlight that the book jacket that we're seeing, the author, and the call number, if we would choose to display it up here, would all be coming from our preferred BID. So our preferred BID is going to be the newest BID with the highest encoding level. And that's really what all of the other similar content is going to be linked to within the trusted record. So on our trusted record page, we can see that we have not only all of our formats that we can select through, but within the formats, we also have multiple editions of the title. So maybe we get a new edition of Pride and Prejudice every single year. The editions are organized by the year, which is present on the book cover. And so the newest will appear first, and then we'll go down the list to older copies. So what's great about the trusted record page is that from here, without even going to the title details page, without drilling down more, I can choose to place a hold, add to list, or share this item from this view. So that's a really big asset, I think, for users that just want to pick a title, put it on hold, or check it out and get out of there. You may also notice that within some of these editions, we do again have that availability listed. Maybe the library doesn't own any copies anymore. Maybe there's one there. Maybe I need to place it on hold because there's no copies currently at that library. Within the title details page, you can also, again, use your filters that were present from the search results page. So maybe we just want to narrow it down to a specific library. Okay, so when I narrow it down to the Ayers library, I see that only 3 formats are available. But there may be multiple editions within those formats. Another way to see availability from the trusted records page is, maybe I don't want to scroll and find available here, not available, oh, where'd they go? A really easy function for users to do is to go ahead and log into their account. Now I'm going to log into my account as my library user that has a preferred location selected. So the Ayers library is the library I pick up all of my holds at. It's where I browse the new titles. I know that I want to look at that library. And you can see the display is a little bit different now. So no copies at the Ayers libraries. It's looking specifically at my branch, and then we could either scroll through as we did before to see the availability, or again, limit by what's available now. And maybe I want to book on CD and I know I'm looking for a specific author. So within the trusted record page, you can really drill down even more to find the exact item that you're looking for. And you will see that there's no further refinements on the left-hand side of the filters because we're down to that one title that meets this criteria of being available and with this author. Now from here, again, I can place holds or I can choose to get a little bit more information about this title and go into the title details page. Now the title details page is the standard view that you're going to see if you're not using the group title display. So for instance, you would have one title, this one, not within a trusted record, but just on its own in the search results page. And by selecting that title or cover, it would take you here where you can find the details, see all the copies, look at reviews, and even more information. So I'm going to go ahead and use the See All Formats and Editions to get back to my Trusted Records page. And then I'm going to go back to my search results because we can explain about different types of trusted records all we want, but what's really important in the FRBR catalog as well is the relevancy. Like if I'm searching for a title, I want to make sure that the correct titles are coming up. So I'm going to search for Harry Potter and the. Now I'm going to search for Harry Potter and the because I kind of am looking for all of the titles that include that. So that would be all the titles in that Harry Potter series. So as far as relevancy goes, if I scroll down the first page, I'm pretty happy with these results. I can tell that each title from the trusted record is an actual title from the series, whether it's a book, a CD, or a DVD. I also wanted to do this search to highlight some of the functionality for the group title display. Now you'll see that a lot of titles are linked automatically based on the display author and the display title. That's how our algorithm works. It's looking for the same content from the display title and the display author. But you may notice that the DVDs are separated in a completely different trusted record than the text, which would include the books, the large print, the audiobooks. Now this happens because you may have guessed it, as I highlighted before, though these may be the same stories, the print, the text versions, the text trusted records actually include the title and the author. DVDs are not going to have your author. So though they may be the same content, they're going to be separated, and you can choose to manually link these, or you can choose to just kind of leave them separate, kind of depending on how you think your users are going to best search within the catalog. All right, so that is a really quick overview of the desktop version of the group title display. I'm going to move over to our mobile catalog, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit there so that you can see this better. Okay, so with the mobile catalog, we tried to maintain the same basic functionality, filters and display views as we have available in desktop. So you're going to look for the same search results. Options to filter and sort are all going to be the same. So using our little magnifying glass there, I'm going to pop in our Harry Potter search again. So we're looking at some of the same search results here. We have those filters that are available to us. So instead of being on the left-hand side of the screen, I just click the drop-down arrow and we have our Available Now filter, which is telling us how many items are currently available at the locations, as well as our formats, authors, and so on. All the same filters there. We also have the same sort by relevance. So if we want to do it by publication date or new title or authors, they're all there. Now what you may notice is we have our cover or a title we can click into to get to our trusted record, but you don't see those format buttons. Instead, we decided to use a format drop down just to save space. Obviously the mobile is a little bit smaller screen, but we can use it the same way. We either click on the cover art, the author, or go ahead and select a format to get to that trusted record where we display the same information. There's all my other formats that would be on the trusted record page. And again, within the additions, I can have the options to add to list, share via social media, place that hold, or select into that title details page of that specific title. All right, so that's pretty much my demo for discovery. I'm going to go ahead and move back to the PowerPoint and throw it back to our SMEs.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa, for giving just a little taste of Carl Connect Discovery Grouped title display in both desktop and mobile. Again, we are really excited to see this in action at our customer sites because we've worked a long time on this for our customers and with our customers. So we want to give you a little bit of background in kind of our path to our grouped title display. So certainly from a foundation perspective, you know, we've all heard and talked about BibFrame for a long time. And that is still all of those meetings and those rules and that kind of future and that path to BibFrame is something that we still make sure that we pay attention to, listen to, see where they're at, but there's still testing going on. In the same way, linked data is becoming more and more apparent and useful, and how we can make our catalogs, our library catalogs, more useful for our patrons, and being able to link data and be able to go out and pull those elements together to provide a better user experience to the patron. And beyond that, in addition to the standards of BibFrame and linked data and kind of the want to get there, we also have had for many, many years in our Carl product something that we call intellectual identifiers, which allows us to link like content or like works systematically. We've used this for years with our outreach services, allowing us to link titles together to provide a better experience for homebound customers to be able to see the material that they've checked out before, if they've opted in to see that, to be able to suggest additional material or gather lists of materials to check out to them. So we're already utilizing kind of linking data together in this way. So as we were thinking about and looking at BibFrame and looking at linked data, we said, sure, we can wait until that path is firmly established, but that could be a long time coming. So we decided to take a step back and look at what we can do with our functionality today. And that gave us the ability to say, yes, let's take a step back, look at our intellectual identifiers, look at our own catalog in Carl Connect Discovery, and build something that we can provide to our users, to our libraries, and to their patrons in a shorter time frame to really meet that need. So again, if we talk about FRBR, which is functional requirements for bibliographic records, that means not a lot to front-end patrons. Some library staff might know, but in the end, it's really about what we're presenting to customers, how they can search and find records that they want to have, that they want to see, that they want to check out, that they want to look at within the library. So how do, that's what all of FRBR and BibFrame and linked data all leads to, but we want it to be practical and be able to present that to the front end without saying, you have to know what FRBR means. It really means just simplifying and providing users that data and an easy access to it. So part of that development was to really go and talk with our development partners, our libraries. Our libraries are at TLC, Carl, are always our development partners. So part of that was creating wireframes and a user experience and sharing that with our customers and getting feedback from our development partners. So what Lisa showed you today has been, many years in development, back and forth. Just this year, we have more customers adopting the group title display within Carl Connect Discovery. It's not something that is completely brand new, but we've now, with our feedback and our roundtables and our forums from our customers, have continued to get great feedback about what works, what doesn't work, what changes they'd like to see, how they'd like to see it managed, how they'd like to see it displayed, how important things like cover art is in a grouped title display, how important all of these elements are. And we've had this ongoing feedback loop with our customers throughout this entire process that allowed us to get to what we now have as a platinum award-winning product, which we are very proud of and so excited to share with our customers, with the library industry itself, because we really believe in what we are offering, which is a premium experience within our product. This is out of the box. This is something that you can have at your library with Carl. You can just make that decision to go down that path. Now, that allows us to go full speed ahead. As I mentioned, this isn't something that we maintain on the side. As we do development, continued development in Carl Connect Discovery, part of that development is always to say, okay, how do we make that work within our group title display, in desktop, in mobile, to make sure that is a consistent experience. And with additional Carl customers adopting group title display, that gives us more and more feedback to continue to make that better. And as we get more and more of our Carl customers on board and actually enabling group title display, that means we can move towards more future development, which is not just allowing them to search and find things in an easier way, but now to request things. So we're looking at grouped title holds. So the ability to say, that is something that is on our roadmap for future development. And we're very excited about that because that's the next step in what we offer to our library's patrons. Again, as all library professionals within this product group, we remember working at libraries with patrons. They just want to be able to go in, find the thing they're looking for, and place that hold without knowing if they have to find a particular title or a particular format. They just want that material. And that is what we're working towards and what we are excited about within this group title display, to be able to say, I just want the first format available, or I just want this particular format. And that is something that I know we've all talked about internally. We've talked about with our customers during roundtables. We have talked about as we've put together our wireframes and all of the things that go into helping us to create those. So it's so much fun to be able to do this and to be able to see it be well received by our customers, because it really is a partnership as we move to make this a great product. Go ahead and we'll go to the next slide there. And now we want to talk a little bit about how we did it. So I'm going to turn it over to Beth to talk a little bit about automatically linking records.
Thanks, Ebony. Yeah, I just want to touch briefly on how our intellectual identifiers, also known as IIDs, play into the FRBRized view and how the linking of records works, the linking of bibliographic records. So an IID is a unique numeric value that links together bibliographic records that appear to be of the same intellectual content. And an IID can be for a group of bibliographic records or a single bibliographic record. And as Lisa shared, that linking occurs using an algorithm that is evaluating potential matches based on their display title and their display author. And this is all happening behind the scenes automatically through routine interactions with those records. So anytime records are loaded into the system or edited or updated, they're being evaluated to see if they appear to be the same intellectual content and are therefore being linked or grouped together. We've found that this automatic linking is successful about 75 to 80% of the time. But as we all know, nobody knows a library's records better than our catalogers. So users do have an interface within the CarlX client where they are able to link or unlink bibliographic records manually from an ID as well. Now, this all brings me back to the concept of our trusted records, which Lisa showed during the demo. Within the database, all IIDs, whether they represent a group of bibliographic records or a single bibliographic record, are assigned a trusted record. And as a reminder, a trusted record is a non-MARC record that really serves as the summary display when you're using the FRBRized Carl Connect Discovery platform. And that display consists of cover art, title, author, and optionally the call number. And like our IIDs, the trusted records are also automatically generated and updated through routine interactions with bibliographic records, including that manual linking and unlinking of records of an IID that I mentioned a second ago. Lisa mentioned this earlier, but it's worth noting again that trusted records are composed of elements from the bibliographic record with the highest encoding level. And that encoding level hierarchy is something that we're able to share with our customers. And if all the encoding happens to be equal, the highest BID is chosen for the IID. And the BID is a Carl-specific unique numeric identifier for our bibliographic records. So that is just a super quick taste of how linking process works. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jessica, who is going to share a bit about how we tackle the UX design.
Thanks, Beth. As with all Carl product design, our goal is really to make the experience for the user as intuitive, straightforward, and intelligent as possible. So FRBR development was certainly no exception there. It was important to determine the best way to show the related content in a manner that was easily searchable and actionable. So again, we started by putting those buttons with the various formats at the top of that trusted record page so that users can easily see what's available. Then each edition associated with that particular format is listed below, which allows the user to quickly find their correct item and either place a hold, add it to their list, or share it. We then evaluated these functions to create a layout that worked well on mobile devices as well to, again, quickly and easily search and act on linked content. So TLC and our customers, I think, all agree that the results of that development have been pretty great. And now I will pass it over to Lisa to tell you a little bit more about our customer feedback.
Thanks, Jets. And I'm going to touch on some of the things that Ebony talked about as far as roundtables, focus groups, and surveys, but we'll go a little bit more in depth. But the last thing Jessica said, that our customers can agree that this is a good product. I would go further. I would say even the majority of the feedback that we've gotten from customers is exceptionally positive. And it's also constructive for our rollout and the ever-evolving group title display catalog. And I not only credit this to our great team here at TLC, but also our library customers and the continual feedback that they provide. They vocalize their must-have features. They also vocalize their pie in the sky desires for our group title display, which we love. Please keep all of that coming. We invited stakeholders to discuss all possibilities in our roundtables. So here, TLC Carl customers discussed the little and the big, and they shared workflows that succeeded and others that needed more attention within the Carl Connect Discovery product. So our focus groups help us to really refine the design and functionality of overall FRBR features on Carl Connect Discovery. And our surveys really allowed our customers to help guide a universal direction, taking into consideration our well-seasoned users, such as our librarians, and also our novice users that may have never even touched or seen a FRBRized catalog before. So all of this feedback allowed us to foster a partnership in development. For instance, we heard all the positives and we kept them. But we also heard very loudly that a certain edition number was confusing, and not only to staff but to users, so we got rid of it. We heard the importance of color, and we used it more prominently to show our availability for items. And we continue to make a display options flexible and optional, fitting both our large library systems and our single location libraries. So now we'll go kind of a little bit more into development and how this process worked. And it was really an all hands on deck development. This development crossed multiple development teams, multiple subject matter experts, and product owners. Now, as I'm the product owner and subject matter expert for Carl Connect Discovery, a lot of this was kind of in my wheelhouse as far as what work was being done in the office. And it was really a ton of fun to do. I love Carl Connect Discovery, if you can't tell. But it was an entire office effort. And I want to say that I've never worked at a company that not only asked for feedback from customers, but really actually took that feedback and put it into development and made it happen. So that was a great experience to be a part of. So since this was such a large undertaking, we did develop the group title display in phases over years, as Ebony mentioned, and we took a look at that algorithm that Beth discussed, and we modified it to make sure that it was working the way we wanted it to for the FRBR catalog. We updated to Lucene, so we replaced our in-house TLC created facets with standard Lucene facets and search group indexes. So this provides users a way to, again, use those filters to limit searches from not only the search results page, but as I demoed, from the trusted record page. We started to review and to build our trusted records, which again are the foundation of our group title display in the catalog. And once records were really starting to group together on the back end, in order to implement our group title views, we created a new infrastructure that uses the trusted record to support the display of group records for our user discovery. So we came up with multiple designs, kind of how Jessica mentioned, as far as UX was concerned, and for how our trusted records and our formats would be displayed. Then here we did go back to our customers, we got our feedback, we make sure we have our must-have functionality, and we made it so it was user-friendly and really intuitive as far as catalogs are concerned. And lastly, the Carl Connect Discovery group title display is really an ever-evolving organism. We continue to modify the way records are indexed and retrieved. So this ultimately improves the searching and relevancy with every single release that we put out. We continue to resolve issues with any security or bugs that may come up, and new functionality comes directly from the recommendations of our stakeholders. And of course, we continue to add new features to make Carl Connect Discovery group title display your dream catalog. So you can tell I love this product. I'm gonna throw it back to Rhea and Ebony to round out this presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. I can definitely tell you love this, and I love it too, and our customers love it as well. I think it's super important, not only during the development to hear what our customers are saying, but once it's been implemented, I wanted to share some of the testimonials we've received as well. So this one comes to us from Celia Morse at the Library Network up in Michigan, a large consortia. With about 1 million bibliographic records, the Library Network's shared catalog includes multiple editions and formats for many titles, especially classics. FRBR helps our patrons by grouping records under format labels so they can quickly pinpoint and locate the title and type of material they are looking for. I love that real world use case, and the classics for sure. Lisa, you showed Pride and Prejudice, which is normally several records down to not so many records, which is great to see.
That was a big one. I had to include it.
And then we have a couple of other testimonials as well. This one comes from us from Melissa Schneider in Winter Park Library down in Florida. Access is one of our core values. We believe in every individual's free and confidential access to information, technology, research, classes, history, and resources. This feature provides a seamless searching experience, enabling us to live this value every day as we strive to be a model library in our industry. So I just love the real world impact, the fact that it's, software can make that big of a difference in libraries and in the community. It's great to see. And we have one more from Winnie Fleming from Loudoun County Public Library in Virginia. We would be doing a disservice to our customers by not providing them with a modern and user-friendly discovery catalog. The transition to TLC's modern FRBR catalog was seamless for customers and staff, and we have no regrets about our decision. That is lovely to hear. Thank you so much, Winnie. So that is our just demo portion of our webinar today. We do have time for questions and answers, and we have had a few questions come in. So now is a good time. If you have additional questions, please drop those in the questions panel. And while folks are typing that up, we have a question for you all with another poll. So if you are interested in anything that you heard today and would like to learn more, or have someone from TLC reach out to you, please mark that first option on the poll and we will follow up with you. We'll leave that up for just a moment. And since we do have some questions, I'm going to start reading those off for us now. Let me open up that window. So the first question is, do you have access, or excuse me, do library staff or catalogers have access to the trusted record to review what fields you can turn on to display? And is there a list of those marked fields available?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this one. This is Ebony Pacheco-Hoos. So right now today, there is not really a view of the trusted record. We are pulling elements out of the MARC records themselves, or our preferred MARC record, to populate the trusted record. Eventually, we will have an interface where we can interact with that trusted record a bit more. But right now, there are ways that our libraries who are utilizing this are kind of manipulating that data. One of the great things that all of this has revealed is really a lot of our libraries cataloging staff really putting their heads together and start taking a look at the MARC record itself and saying, okay, this means nothing to the patron. How do we make it be useful data to patrons? How do we make that cataloging data mean something that the patron is going to care about? So there is, so at this point right now, we are pulling the summary information from the bibliographic record that is identified as the preferred BID. We're pulling ISBN information, and that is what we're utilizing to be able to get content, so cover art, additional summary information, that type of thing. But eventually, we would like to have more ability for library staff with appropriate permissions to modify that.
Great. And then along those lines, we do have a question asking about how accurate do catalog records have to be for this to be a non-frustrating experience for patrons? For example, is 99.9% accuracy sufficient?
And this might be something that we would look to some of our libraries to, we've seen as we've turned this on at our libraries that there is, it seems to be almost a non-event for customers. They continue using it. It's just natural to them. Behind the scenes, what we have seen is there are some libraries that are working to do some cleanup, to do some modification of their bibliographic records, letting the system kind of update those links as appropriate. The great thing, again, is we are providing tools within the ILS to be able to globally edit those bibliographic records. Again, what we have seen is, in general, it is making correct decisions about linking, but those error links, because again, it is just looking straight at that data. It's not a real person evaluating it, it's a system evaluating it. There is that portion where some might have to be unlinked, but because we provide an interface for that, there are ways to manage it. Now, certainly that doesn't mean that the algorithm is the end-all be-all. We also continue to get feedback from our customers on how the algorithm can be improved, and that is something that we are looking at as well. it is just never going to get to 100% accuracy because of the limitations of the machine versus the person who's making that decision sometimes.
And we did hear from several customers as well. I mean, 2 of those testimonials use the word seamless in terms of getting that up and running. And also the fact that it is really that modern display too. I know that a lot of patrons are used to, Amazon shopping or various other places online. And I think providing that catalog that has sort of a similar experience, they already are coming to the table knowing what to expect when they search a record. I do have another, I'm going to combine 2 questions that we've received having to do with current Carl customers. How are they able to start using grouped title display? What version of the software do they need to be on? And is there an extra cost for this? So how do Carl customers get FRBR?
They let us know they'd like to enable it. So
good answer.
It is very straightforward. This is not a premium cost. This is part of our product. This is the direction we do want to go. Eventually, we would love all of our Carl customers to have the grouped title display enabled, because then that's a single interface that allows us to move forward a little bit more straightforward. Right now, we do maintain both views to make sure. And it really is just a matter of saying you want to enable this. Now, some libraries, again, we have processes in place that some libraries like to kind of take a look in their test environments and make sure things look good. They may want to do some cleanup of their records. But that is, again, it really is on the library's kind of schedule or when they feel comfortable doing that. Some libraries have just kind of set a date and worked towards it. So it really is just a simple matter of when you're ready, we do it.
Perfect. And then on the flip side of that, for non-TLC or non-Carl customers, is Carl Connect Discovery a standalone discovery layer? We've got some people interested in it, but aren't necessarily.
It is not. It is actually part of the Carl solution infrastructure and is not a standalone discovery layer. We do know that there are great standalone discovery layers out there that are doing their grouped title display views, and that are wonderful. We like that, certainly, but we also love our internal one and offering our libraries access to that premium experience at a non-premium cost.
And so for those of you in the audience who are interested with this catalog, please drop us a message and we will reach out to you afterward to see how you can switch over to the Carl side. We do have about 4 more questions. I'll keep going down the list. How much has accessibility been incorporated into the design of the FRBRized catalog? For example, use with screen readers.
So I will ask Jessica to jump in here, but again, part of this whole process is as we continue to do development across our web products, we do take into account accessibility, but we do always know that we need to make improvements as we move through this process. So as we add new elements to the screens, we do make sure they work with again, kind of, wave accessibility tools. We take that into account so that those things look good. But we also do have on our roadmap to continue to improve the accessibility within our discovery products and within our staff products, also on the web, to ensure that it is a consistent experience for all library users. So that is, our continued roadmap dedication to be able to say, let's continue to make that a better experience.
Yeah, as Ebony mentioned, especially as we do new development, we try to evaluate those pages that we are working on at that moment. And a lot of the things that we have a checklist that we go through for kind of the ADA 508 compliance each time we do something new. And then, so we work on that. And then as we go, we also go through kind of retrospectively through our system. So, so these pages that have been developed have been evaluated for that.
Great, thank you both. This next question is a statement in the form of a question. You should check name authority control before attempting automatic matching. Yes?
So the Carl system, any bibliographic record that is added into the Carl system will have the heading, author or the 1XX authorized against the authority file. So what is in there is the authorized name form. So yes, that is what we are doing.
Yes, that statement is correct. All right, the two more questions. Are there plans to create a graphical visual display of the FRBR arrangement to show the ecosystem of titles, for example, as a bubble graph, visual cluster, etc.? Interesting.
At this time, we have not heard that as feedback from our customers, but again, because this is driven by what our libraries are looking for, that is something that, we could review and determine, is that something that they want added, and how do we prioritize that against something like FRBR, our group title display holds. But we are always looking to improve our catalogs, and as Lisa mentioned, that feedback is what is most important here, and how the things that work, the things that don't work, the things they'd like to see, and then we figure out how do we get that into the product.
Perfect. And then this one is the last question that I see so far. Is the phased out of MARC records anticipated? That's a big question.
But I have yet to see anything that says here is the end date of MARC. But it's again something that we do keep our eye on. And again, as an industry, as an ILS company, that is something that we are always looking at how data is managed, how it's used, attending those seminars, those conferences, seeing what's happening, making sure we keep our finger on the pulse of all of that, so that as that continues to evolve, we look at what we need to make changes on our end so that we can support records as the phase out of MARC records will happen.
Yep, definitely. I think that's one of the great things about about Carl in general, is not only hearing customer feedback, but being able to keep your finger on the pulse and staying ahead of it too. So that was the last question that came in. I'm going to ask Lisa to go to our next slide, and I'm going to provide a few more reminders just in case someone is currently typing as fast as they can to get their question in. I'll give you a little bit of time to do that. So a few reminders, please download those handouts before we close out the session today. There is the press release announcing the Modern Library Award, as well as a product sheet for more information about FRBR, and of course our corporate brochure if you're interested in learning more about TLC in general. We do also have our webinars for this month are up on the website at tlcdelivers.com/webinars. That is also where this recording will be tomorrow. So to go ahead and double check there, you'll also receive an email reminder that it's available. Our next couple of webinars are going to be, one is on eBibliophile, which is TLC's automated cataloging service for Overdrive and Cloud Library bibliographic records. So if you'd like to see how you can get enriched MARC records delivered automatically, be sure to subscribe to that webinar. And then following that, we will have one on cybersecurity for libraries. What does that mean? What can you do to keep your library safe? And then, of course, if you are a current Carl customer on this call, there is going to be a new release webinar next week, which you can register for on Carl Community. So be sure to check that out as well. All right, I see no further questions that have come in. So I just want to thank our panel. Once again, thank you so much for being able to join us today and to show off the group title display feature in Carl Connect Discovery. And really, congrats. I mean, this is a multi-year winning product, and I think it's so exciting to be able to see it move forward and to see our customers liking it. So thank you for being able to showcase it today.
Yes, thank you, Ria, and thank you to our customers
Thank you so much.
who love it.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you next time, and we'll see you in your email tomorrow with a reminder for the archive if you want to watch the replay. Bye, everybody.